A big aim of today is really to grease our thinking and discussion around what the future holds for cooperatives and the value of strategic foresight. So foresight really is about planning for a variety or a range of disruptive futures, not just looking at potential high and low projections. And it does so by giving us a toolkit to help us identify and play out the implications of seeds of change that are already present in the world that we're living today. Seeds of change that sooner than you might think could actually take off and take us down unexpected pathways.
We want you to walk away today with some ideas and insights that'll cause you to stand back and want to have a look again at your strategy and make sure your cooperative is positioned to do all the good it can in the world. And this is a world that needs a lot of good right now. The other reason we're looking at this right now is because we recognize that success for us in the cooperative system really only comes when the cooperatives and those in the system together are moving forward. Are ready for these situations and ready to take advantage of them rather than reacting to them. We realized that big was getting bigger under COVID, and that is not healthy, that there was inequity happening in the world because of COVID under the profit maximizing model, and people were demanding a different model, a different solution. Governments were having to react and step in, and you pause and you stand and you go, isn't that where cooperatives almost always come from? Isn't that the root of what drives cooperative creation? Are we relevant when the opportunity is created? Or have we drifted to the point where that we're sort of vague and neutral? Do we have a compelling cooperative difference? Do we have plans? Have we got our story out? Have we summarized the difference we made during COVID?
I think there's some big implications for co-ops here. I'm looking forward to the conversation where we can dig into these. But one big implication is a central government's deficit is a private sector's saving. That follows logically if you understand how the fiscal and monetary policy work together. This is a natural consequence. In fact, since the crisis, Canada's household debt to income ratio has dropped in a way we haven't seen in 20 odd years. If this idea is really taking hold of modern monetary theory and more central bank involvement, we could see more deleveraging of the household sector. This is the big implication, I think. If you believe that the rules are changing, one of the big consequences is probably a return of big government. And if big government comes back, what does that mean for the cooperative sector? Historically, it's not always been a good thing. It means government takes up more space and doesn't let the cooperative space take over some of the areas that need help, that kind of thing. Let's think about how we can get government to support, not get in the way of the cooperative sector.
I don't know if you've noticed, our lives have sort of moved entirely online for the last couple of months, bringing up concerns around private security, around data, around accessibility of our services as cooperators. It's typically a good idea to reach your clientele where they're at, and they're online right now. They're not walking into our businesses the way they used to per Ian's statements. So I am here to briefly go over with you what is a platform co-op and how we might start adopting more digital ways of doing business and what that might involve for us as a movement and as practitioners.
Given what I talked to you about in terms of my background, the types of research we were doing, we had little idea that our research was going to become relevant very, very quickly. Because COVID had immediate and major impact on food systems in the United States. Not quite as major of a food impact in Canada, but pretty close to that. This is a picture of the store shelf that I was faced with here in the United States at Target. This is part of the meat shelf, and I was limited to one package of meat per visit to Target. And that was true with most Americans because their meat supply had been so dramatically impacted by the closure of so many of these really, really large meat packing plants. What did we do here in the United States? Well, co-ops played a unique role in the recovery. What you see is Food Source USA, which was put together by cooperatives, which bypassed large wholesalers like Cisco Systems, which operates on both sides of the US-Canadian border, and made connections between those who are actually producing the food and the places that need the food. Disaster response co-ops have been created. And finally, as in the United States where a food plan is being developed, perhaps Canada should be looking at something along the same. Cooperatives act very differently from for-profit types of businesses. And I think that's something we need to be talking more about as cooperatives, that our owners govern us, they set policy. And because of that, to put this really simply, we treat our members much better than businesses typically treat their consumers.
As a board, you want to be asking yourself, where is policy going? Not just, because it shapes the way the puck's going to go. And I think I rarely hear those conversations at boards, and yet they have really big implications.
Do we have plans? Have we got our story out? Have we summarized the difference we made during COVID? we've as cooperatives, we're often waiting for the opportunity to make our difference, to be seen. It's here. So the question now that I'd ask my board is, the ship has come in. Are we ready to board it?